Alright, so our focus here is going to be legend design. So I have a map layout here with a bunch of different layers on it. This isn't a very good map. The goal here was just to provide a lot of layers so we'd have a lot of legend items to work with. So we basically ignored the map in this case. We're really just looking at the legend. Okay, so to create a legend in Arc Pro, once a map has been added to a layout, you just need to make sure you clicked on the correct map frame. If you have multiple map frames, whichever one you're clicked on will be the one you get a legend for. So you just need to make sure you clicked on the correct one. And then you want to go to the legend option under the insert tab here, and then you can draw a box for the legend. Okay, so first off, to deal with the overlay issue, well actually that would be fine. We'll just put this over here for now. Alright, so a couple things to start off with. Note that there's a couple layers in here that are raster layers that you can't see. I left those in there intentionally just so we could, I can show you how to remove them. If you want to remove things from the legend, there's a couple options. You can just remove them from the map, and that'll also remove them from the legend. Another option is once you create a legend, it'll show up as an item in your layout contents there, and you can click on an object, like the hillshade for example, and remove it. So we're just going to remove both of those. Note that the legend defaults to whatever layers are turned on when you make the legend or visible are the ones that will show up. Okay, so what are some other issues with this legend? So first off, we have some file names in here and some like attribute column names, and all of those are things we definitely don't want. So we're going to want to clean that up. Might also be nice to break it into multiple columns. So we'll play with a couple examples here. Or we'll mess around with this a bit to try to solve some of those problems. Okay, so to edit individual layers, if you click on a layer, so for example, let's look at this population density by county. We have a file name in there and a field name. So to remove those, if you click on the object, this is this pop data object, it should open up this format legend item window. And from there, you can turn things on and off. So we can turn off the layer name, we can turn off the heading, which in this case is the field name. You also turn off the labels, which in this case we obviously don't want to, and you can turn off descriptions if they exist. You can also change the order. Like for example, there we flipped it. I don't think we want to do that in this case. You can also change the size of the symbols. So for example, if we want to make them a little bit bigger, we do that. So I just made them square. One thing that I think would make sense would be to leave the layer name in, but let's actually edit it so that it's something more meaningful. So to do that, what you can do is activate the map, and then go to that layer in the map, and then to its properties, and just change the name there. So we'll call this population density, and this is per square mile. And we'll hit OK there. And you can see that that automatically updated that object in the legend. If you want to change like the symbols, you can do so. You can also do that. So you might notice there for lake, I have a non-like rectangle symbol. So to accomplish that, again, I'll activate the map. And if you click on the symbol here, properties, actually that's not, it's under symbology. So symbology, you can change the symbol to something else, right? So you can change the shape there if you want. You can do the same thing with the core pleth mapping, but we don't really need to do that. Okay. Note also that the legend will be dynamic, so if you make changes in the map, or that it should also change the legend until you, say, convert it to a graphic. Okay, so let's say that we're basically happy with that. In terms of like the symbology and whatnot, you can do additional editing once it's converted to a graphic, but again, it won't update if you update the map, so you shouldn't do this until you know your map is basically locked. Okay, so to do that, we're going to click on it and then click on convert to graphic, and that converts this object now to a graphic object as opposed to a legend object. So for example, now if I would go in here and activate this, and say, change this color to something else, you see that it doesn't change in the legend because, again, now it's just a graphic. It's not dynamic. Let me undo that. Okay. All right. And then to actually edit individual pieces, you're going to want to ungroup stuff. So we're going to click ungroup. And sometimes you have to do this multiple times because there's kind of like a hierarchy there. For first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this part of the legend over. And I'd like to make this text smaller. So I'm going to ungroup again. And that breaks into its components. And now I should be able to edit this. So if I go to format, I should be able to change the size. So let's drop this down to like 12. But I'm going to make it bold just so it stands out a little bit. Another thing I'd like to do is pull this down to a second line. There we go. And then you notice it disappeared there. That's because I need to make the box taller. Okay, I'll move this over. Okay, so that looks all right. Another thing we might want to do is maybe just like round off the legend labels. So I'm going to change this to 41 and then 93, 83, 6, and 447. Okay, so I think that looks all right. Next thing I'm going to do is move these over. So I'm going to highlight those. Oop, see, I highlighted the map there. I'm going to move that up so I don't highlight it again. And I'll move these over. Try to line it up a little bit with Cooperative map. Move them over a little. I'll move this back down. Okay, so a couple issues with this. There's still some file names in there. So if I click on this object, I should be able to go in here and change the name. So I'm just going to call it roads. See it updated. Same thing with the rivers there. So let's change it to rivers. We probably want to capitalize everything just for consistency. So lakes, railroads, and towns and cities. Okay. Let's say just for now, I'm just want to do some more specific things. So let's just like redesign this a good bit. I'm just trying to show you how to do some stuff here. So I'm gonna move this up again, and I'm gonna grab all these, move them out of the way for now. And let's say I wanted to make this legend horizontal instead of vertical. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to move all the labels out of the way here. And then I'm going to move all these up in line. We don't need to really worry about the spacing. One thing, maybe let's just butt them up to each other. Actually, might look all right. So I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to bring the labels over. Now, one issue here is that we have our spacing is a bit is not great. So what if we grab all of these objects and then we're just going to pull on them, and that should stretch them all equally, I believe. Oh, it did not. So do undo that. Grab all these objects. We should be able to change the, let's see, the width here. Let's just bump that up a little. There we go. That's changing them all, it looks like. Well, it still didn't do it. Alright, maybe that doesn't work that way. Let's see. We'll just have to do them one by one, I guess. So let's just do, I'm going to bump this up to, let's do 0.6. Oh, that's the height. Just convert this back here, 3, and then we'll make the width 0.6. 0.6. All right, and we could do the same thing for the rest of them. I'm actually not sure why it wasn't letting us do them all at once. Might have to do with overlap. Let's move them all down. Try this again. And let's change this to 0.5. Yeah, there they all went. I'm not sure what I did wrong the first time. And then I'm going to change this to 0.5. I thought it was a little bit too big. Okay, and then we'll just realign them here. Again, we want to butt them right up against each other. Should work for us that way. Here we go. Okay, and then we can move our numbers. I'm just going to put them underneath. You could also put them inside the box. We'll just put them underneath. One thing with this, it might look kind of bad if we don't have them spaced well. So I'm just going to highlight all of them, and if we go to Format, there should be an option to distribute. And if we do horizontally, yeah, there we go. That makes them align. And then we all could do vertically just to make sure they're aligned vertically. Oops. Oh, this one must have got, there we go, must have made it too small or something. Oh, I see what happened. It got rotated. There we go. I'm not sure how that happened. I must have grabbed it. Let me do this again. So we'll do distribute horizontally. Vertically doesn't seem to work for us. Let's go back. Distribute vertically from center. I must do it. Okay. So anyway, they're fine. So this, we'll say that's all right. And then we could go in here and move these and make them more aligned, more of like a vertical style legend. Maybe we'll group by type. So we could do all the lines, all the line features. Actually, we'll just group these together. That makes more sense. Okay. And then if we wanted, maybe I'm gonna get rid of the bold on this. Now I feel like that's maybe unnecessary, and move this up. Now that it's more vertical, or sorry, horizontal. Okay, move this back down. And then lastly, I'm just gonna put like a box behind it. So we'll drop box in there, and again, we can go into the symbol. I'm gonna give it a background color and an outline color, and hit apply, and now it's above, so I'm just going to pull it down. Okay, so in short, you can see you can actually do a lot of editing with legends after you create the default. Some of it you can do while it's a legend, but other things you might have to convert it to a graphic file to do the more graphical editing.